Hi, Jim Gordon back with more small cap interviews. Our location on this day is the Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel in downtown Vancouver. Joining me today from Goliath Resources is Roger Rosmus. He is the founder, CEO, and director of the company. Joins us here at the table. Great to see you again, sir.
Thanks for having us back.
You are quite welcome. Let's start with some background on Goliath. We have talked before, but for the viewers that may not have seen those interviews,
okay.
A little background.
Just quickly, it's a new company created 2017 with a focus of possibly discovering the next big mine in British Columbia. So far, it seems that we're on track with discovery with our Surebet Zone that we've just completed a 26,000 meter drill program. So in total, just over 31,000 meters of drilling to date. This is a brand new discovery. Never been drilled before. It was covered under glaciers and permanent snowpack until recent times.
One of the things, and it's just part of the landscape in this day and age where, you know, companies like yourself are putting up things on YouTube. I was enthralled by the videos of that Surebet Zone. I was really struck by the steepness of that area too. Talk about how you were doing that, because one of your geologists was kind of pointing out, and you'd see just the steepness of that area. How much of a challenge was that?
Well, most of our geologists are licensed mountain climbers, backcountry skier type folks, and so they love these type of terrain. Certainly the north side of the Surebet Zone is quite steep. However, the south slope, there are parts of it is quite gentle, where we're able to put up drill pads across that side of the mountain. Certainly there's parts of it where it is kind of cliffed out where we can't, so we have to drill longer holes to get to where we want to test the mineralization there.
Let's talk about holes. I was looking at a stat widespread holes, 89 out of 92.
Yes, like a 97% hit rate.
Yeah. Talk a bit about that if you could.
Well, it's a unique situation where we have 1 kilometer of strike up the south slope. It peaks and then it goes down the north slope, another 1.1 kilometer. You can essentially touch it all the way, pinching and swelling up to sort of 30, 40 meters wide in Hazelton sedimentary rock. And then within that, you've got this high grade shear. You've got this high grade shear zone in there that's right now. It's averaging just under 7 meters wide and just about 6.31 grams per ton gold equivalent, which is pretty decent if you consider that the size of this thing is quite large. 1.6 square kilometers, remains open, and we'll be looking to drill test the higher grade zones where, as an example, we got this piece of float just off the cliff zone. This is running about 30 ounces of gold and about 97 ounces of silver per ton. And that is in the same area where we're getting from pad A, which is to the east, and then we've got the South Cliff step-out pad up to the north, kind of westish. We're getting visible gold in these holes as well. So we're getting an idea, potential of the source of the gold, calling it the Golden Gate, perhaps where all this high-grade mineralization came up and sort of filled in through the system.
Talking with Roger Rosmus, he's the founder, CEO, director of Goliath Resources. We're talking about their Surebet project. Can you talk about the infrastructure around that? Because it looked like a lot of helicoptering in, but is there roadways nearby? Is that something that's coming? Should things proceed?
Yeah, well, there is the Dolly Varden access road, which is about 7 kilometers to the east, and then that takes you to Alice Arm, and then just across the bay is Kitsault. So that was a town that was built for the Moly mine back in the 80s. That went out of business and it was bought by a private individual. So that actually houses up to 300 people. We have a high tension power that does come into Kitsault as well, but there's also another line about 25 kilometers to the east. So as far as when the guys show up in part of the season, and they can just unload the trucks and they're working the next day. And as far as getting to the site for drilling and so on, it is helicopter assisted.
Sure.
But I think more to the question is we do have 2 fjords on either side of the property, which is tidewater access, takes you to Prince Rupert, about 190 kilometers. To the south, where you can take a rail right across Canada at that particular point, or there's a deep water port there. You could send concentrate out to the Pacific, to anywhere in the world.
How would you envision a potential mining scenario?
I'm not a miner, but certainly from speaking with our team, and specifically Quinton Hennigh, as he has a ton of experience in this. But again, it's quite simple where we can see the structure for 2.1 kilometers at surface. You've got 700 meters of vertical relief. So the idea, you come in through the valley, modified room and pillar type of mining scenario.
Sure.
We did kind of do like a rough sketch out of potential mining scenario, and there's plenty of room in the valley to house the type of mill and so on that Quinton was talking about. So it'd be the method, I guess it'd be I think it's called like a modified blast and fill scenario, similar to I think what the guys are doing up at the Pogo mine in Alaska.
Okay.
Because it is, it's a shallow dipping structure. We're kind of like 35 to 40. The Pogo is I think closer to about a 30 degree dip. So.
You're on the red line.
Yes.
Talk to our viewers a little more about that, if you could.
Sure. Well, out of the success of the recent program last year, and some of the comments that a number of the technical people are talking about this area possibly being like the most prolific part of gold coming out of this camp or this particular area over the next, for years and years to come. Yeah. So what we did is we went and doubled our property size, and basically. We're going where we staked is a lot of places where there were glaciers or are glaciers, and they are melting. Permanent snowpacks, so we're seeing brand new outcrop at surface. One area in particular we'll be testing, again, drilling about 5,000 to 6,000 meters is our Goldswarm Discovery, which is about 4 kilometers to the north.
Right.
And basically what we're seeing is the same thing that we're seeing at the Surebet Zone, where we've got this high-grade mineralization of shear at surface within a Hazelton sedimentary rock group, and the only difference is this is dipping at 80 to 90 degree, and we've planned, I guess, about 6 pads and about 5,000 to 6,000 meters of drilling. So we could have another Surebet type discovery next year. We're getting excellent grades, over half a meter, getting sort of 0.5. Basically almost a half an ounce gold coming out of the channel cuts.
So can you talk about some of the surrounding properties in the Surebet project?
Sure. Well, just in the area in the triangle, it's a world-class geological setting, mining-friendly jurisdiction where all the senior miners, they're coming home to roost because, Newcrest, Newmont, could go on, Hecla, et cetera. It's a pretty active area. There's been, I think, over $5 billion of transactions over the last, 5 years or so in the area. And so as far as our neighbors go, we've got the Homestake Ridge deposit, which is just literally to the northeast of us, and then Dolly Barton mine, again, is off to the northeast. But, with the staking that we did this last year and early this year, we've just under 55,000 hectares, where we're around the Red Mountain, the Willoughby, the Premier mine. Actually, Quinton Hennigh is referred to this, our discovery potentially as another Premier silverback mine, which is pretty incredible. And then we've got the Porter, Idaho mine as well. So there's a lot of targets we'll be testing further to the north where we just staked, which are slowly, glaciers are receding. We're seeing brand new outcrop, probably haven't been seen by a human in thousands and thousands of years, which we'll be testing, as well as some of the higher grade materials that we're seeing closer to the Surebet Zone. And we'll see what happens, 2023. But we're pretty excited to get back on the ground.
Talk about Quinton Hennigh and his speculation on this. It's been encouraging.
Yeah, no, Quinton's been amazing. He's put us in touch with all the right people to help us advance this project, because it has come up the ladder very, very quickly in a very short period of time. If people think about, let's say, Great Bear Resources, drilling 300,000 meters to get to sort of a back of the envelope calculation of what might be there. We've only done, again, just over 31,000 meters of drilling, and the back of the envelope calculations guesstimates look extremely promising for us. Another unique part about this project, again, by Quinton Hennigh's recommendation to do some early metallurgical work, amazing result.
Let's talk about, as much as one can, map out the future, the rest of 2023 for you guys at Goliath.
Yeah, the idea, again, looking at these samples and where we're drilling in 2021 and partially into 2022, as we're seeing visually, we thought the source might be down to the south-southwest dipping. And at the end of the season now, with all the results and so on, it appears that where all this high-grade zone is sort of off more to the east side of the Surebet Zone, and closer to this northeast trending fault. And then we have two near vertical structures called Real Deal, Cloud9, and sort of where these all kind of vector in together. That'll be, again, the focus for this coming year, and possibly find the source of all this mineralization that we're seeing at surface.
Can you talk a bit about the share structure of the company?
Sure, yeah. It's a fairly tight structure. We only have 78 million issued outstanding. Fully diluted, it's about 115 million shares. If that was the case today, that would bring in roughly another $30-odd million into the treasury. As of September financials, I think we had net 5 million on the balance sheet. And as far as ownership goes, largest shareholder would be Crescat Capital. They're about 19.9%. And then we've got Eric Sprott. He's got, I guess, roughly about 8.5% ownership, I guess. Those are both on a partially diluted basis for Crescat and Eric.
Where can people find out more information? Your website is Goliath Resources Limited?
GoliathResourcesLimited.com.
.com.
Yes.
And some great, some just fantastic videos on YouTube.
Thanks.
You'll get a good sense of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and we've got a number of those still in the can. We hired a cinematographer out of California, spent 2 weeks on the property and interviewing, the helicopter pilots, the cooks, the geologists, so on and so forth. So we've got, I think we just put out episode 5 regarding Spencer Postman, one of the geologists that was responsible for helping us advance this project so quickly. And so as a tribute to him, he passed away in a mountain avalanche, snowboarding accident, unfortunately, a few years back, and we miss him.
Yeah. What a great chat, and what great to check their stuff out online. It's Roger Rosmus. He's the founder, CEO, and director of Goliath Resources Limited. Good to see you again, sir. Thank you for joining us here.
Thanks for having me again. Cheers.
Quite welcome. Jim Gordon here with Small Cap Interviews. We'll see you next time.